Good morning, class. So I know that I have been saying for a couple of days that I need to post something about your case study project. And since I'm not there in person, I wanted to do a recording so that you guys would have a really good idea about exactly what you needed to do. In the past, I've really tried to let students kind of run with it, but I think in showing you this short 5-slide presentation, you guys will get a better understanding of what I'm hoping to get from you guys. So, first things first, super sorry I'm not there. I literally have had the worst luck with travel and I am stuck. So, while I was stuck on a plane going somewhere away from San Antonio to not be able to get on our digital class call now I am not able to find a flight home. Yeah, I've had the worst luck. I'm hoping this is a one-time pain point that I never have to experience again, and I've had my fair share of travel bad luck, but we will see. Okay, so back on point. So first things first, this is a case study project, and what we mean by that is I'm asking you to compare two different organizations that do essentially the same thing. And I don't mean I want you to compare organizations that do exactly the same thing, but I want you to compare two organizations that are in the same line. So two healthcare organizations, two cancer organizations, two elementary schools, two universities, two food banks, two homeless shelters. As long as they are trying to achieve the same goal, how they achieve it doesn't matter for your point of selection. And I say selection because it is important for your point of comparison. We want to make sure, that in your evaluation, you're comparing which one is doing it better. And their tactics might be what they're doing better. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But suffice to say, step one is picking an issue that you want to address. So that's your slide one. Your title slide is obviously the title of like the problem you're addressing, right? So homelessness in Texas, whatever. That's the title slide with your name on it. If you don't have your name on it during your presentation, I won't know who's doing what. So please, please, please put your name on it. Okay. Slide 2 is tell me about the problem. Give me some statistics. X percentage of people use food bank services in the state of Texas. X number of families get served. Or give me a frame of reference back to that exercise that we did in the needs statement skills lab, right? Where you kind of were able to look at the problem from a 40,000 foot view and then kind of dive down into regional statistics, right? So tell me a little bit about the problem. I don't expect you to tell, if you pick hunger, right, which hunger is usually one of the top picks. And by the way, if you all will do me a favor, by Friday, April 5th, if you will email me your topic, because I don't want 50 food banks, I don't want 50 homeless shelters, because then the projects get really hard to listen to, not only for myself, but for each other. And so we're going to limit 3 people to the same topic, because I do recognize there's limits in topics. So we're going to limit. So the faster you can send me your selection, obviously the better likelihood you are to get the one you want. And so send me your topic by April 5th, this Friday, so that we can make sure that we have a good spread of topics. Okay, so again, slide 2, tell me about the problem here. Tell me exactly, give me some idea of how bad it is, what the need is like, and so on and so forth. Slide 3 is introduce organization 1. Tell me the name of the organization and give me some statistics about the organization, right? Like total budget. Again, when we were talking about our 990, the 990 form, that'll give you a lot of information about the organization. It'll give you their top 5 donors, which the names of the donors aren't really important, but how much those donors are giving, right? So like their average top gift is however much money. Their average budget is this. And then go to their website, and usually their websites will provide you a lot of information, like total number of people served, or it'll provide the average length of stay in a shelter. It'll provide you some important statistics, I think. Because that's their way of marketing themselves, right? And then if you feel like you just didn't get enough information from the website, that just you need a few more points of clarification, feel free to reach out to me. and I can help you find some other points, or feel free to contact the organization directly and say, I'm doing a case study for my university school project and was wanting to see if you could answer a few questions. Now, be prepared with those questions, right? So know exactly what information you're looking for. But again, just think that through. Think that through. Okay. Slide number 4, obviously introduce the organization. Number 2, same thing, right? The name of the organization. And if you can, I know this is not super easy because every organization manages themselves a little differently, but if you can get the same points of information on both organizations, man, you've won, because that way you really are doing a literal A to B comparison. It's okay. There's not going to be any suffering in your grade if you can't get the same points of comparison, because that's not your fault. It just makes your analysis a little more difficult because you're going to have to extrapolate some things, right? So if you can't get, total number of persons served for both organizations, but you have one organization tells you that they only serve Bexar County and they served this many people, and then the other one's like, well, we serve 3 counties. You know what I mean? You're going to have to make a little bit of a deduction to say, well, if they serve 3 counties, does that automatically mean they're serving more people? Or does that other organization serve more people just in 1 county, right? You're going to have to and then you might have to look at their budget and say, well, this one spends more money, so obviously they might be serving more people. Which is a stretch, because that doesn't always mean the same thing. But you get what I'm saying, right? That if you have the same points, it's easier to compare the two. If you don't, you have to kind of make a few more deductions. But again, slide number 4 is introducing that second organization. Slide number 5, your final slide, is comparing the 2 organizations, right? Obviously, I'm just giving you this information on this slide, but ideally what you would have is the title of the issue, and then you'd have column A on one side, column B on the other side, where you could literally compare the 2 organizations side by side and explain, X is better than Y because, Y is better than X because, or neither is good because they're both missing something, right? And so you can say I've compared these 2 homeless shelters, one in Houston, one in Dallas, and they're both missing the boat completely. They're not serving enough people, they're not addressing the need, or the local point in time count has gone up. And again, please recognize I have a lot of experience in these industries, so some of the stuff I'm spouting out is obviously nothing you would know on your own. So please don't feel like you're going to have to be able to speak to this as in depth as I might. I have no expectation of that at all. I really do want you guys to be able to go back through our lectures and say, oh, okay, from a marketing perspective, one has a better logo than the other. It's more recognizable. One has a smaller budget and they serve more people. They're more efficient. One serves more people than the other. So they obviously have a larger reach. One has expanded and opened new sites in new counties. So they're growing their operation, right? That means they're financially healthy, right? So things like that, I think, are what I'm looking for from you guys. I'm not necessarily looking for insider information in specific fields. Okay, so that's it. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. It's very, very simple. It's go look at 2 organizations, find no less, and now let me be clear, no less than 3 points of comparison, right? So you're comparing 2 organizations on their budget, maybe on their number of people served, on total number of employees, total number of sites, whatever it is. No less than 3 points of comparison. Okay? From there, you also have to write a 2 to 3 page paper. Okay? One single spaced, please. Okay? No double spaced, but single spaced, and in the same essay format as the midterm, right? So I want a clean introduction about the problem. Please introduce the problem to me. Each of those 3 paragraphs should be your points of comparison. So point of comparison number 1, point of comparison number 2, point of comparison number 3, and then your 5th and final paragraph should be a conclusion, right? Now remember, you're having at each point of comparison, you're having to explain to me that point of comparison from both organizations' perspective. So while a paragraph is 3 to 5 sentences, like we've said in the past, there's no way for you to explain a point of comparison about 2 organizations in 3 sentences. There's just not, right? So those paragraphs are going to be a little longer, which is why the paper is 2 to 3 pages, okay, typed. Again, your paper is a clear introduction of the problem, point of comparison number 1, point of comparison number 2, point of comparison number 3, and a conclusion on what your thoughts are. That is all I'm asking for in the paper. And from there, that's your total project. Of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me or text me. My number is on the syllabus. Feel free to email me or text me any questions. But this should not be a difficult project. This should not be a time-consuming project. My goal is for you guys to literally be able to take the things we've discussed in class, right? So personnel, board leadership. That's another point of comparison. How diverse is their board, right? And things like that. Or another part of partnerships, right? Like how many other nonprofits do they partner with? Those kinds of things, right? Sorry, it just gets me thinking, right? So taking all of those different lectures that we've had, right? And is that one of your points of comparison? That's the point. Like the point is I've hopefully over the semester at each lecture given you another section of the nonprofit industry by which we need to be holding ourselves to a higher to a high professional standard, right? So hiring the best people, having the best leadership, right? Understanding our economic theories, right? Where we kind of make an impact. That's a little bit harder to do a point of comparison on economic theories because that requires a lot of interviewing. It requires 360 reviews of the organization. So stay away from economic theories as to why the nonprofit was established or exists. Stay away from that. But budget, financial management, personnel, board leadership, communications, social media, grant funding, all of those things are great points of comparison. So I'm hoping that you guys can go back and look at those lectures and decide, okay, I want to compare these two based on how much money they've raised. I want to compare these two on how many people they've served. I want to compare these two on how large their budget is, how many employees they have, right? I'm hoping that those are real easy points of comparison in order to find information on, and then you can make a deduction about which organization you think is working well and which one isn't. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, but this should be a really clear explanation of what you expected to do. So again, 1 PowerPoint and 1 paper. Now, the paper and the PowerPoint aren't due until the second day. So we present over 2 days, that last week in April. And so nobody's paper is due to me until the midnight on that Wednesday, right? I think it's the 24th, if I have it correctly in my head. But none of them are due till that Wednesday. And so, maybe you make your presentation on Monday, the 22nd, but you still need a few more days to kind of polish your paper. Totally fine. You don't have to turn it in till that Wednesday. Some people, it's already done. They present and they turn it in right after they present. That's okay too, whatever works for you. But no, you have a little extra time to polish that paper if you want to. And so I do need you to turn in the electronic copy of your PowerPoint and your paper together in one email. And we'll talk about this more, but suffice to say, I'm just trying to give you guys as much heads up as possible. But again, this should be really a solid day, maybe day and a half of you sitting down and looking through websites and stuff like that and knocking this out. This should not be a painful project. This is really about exercising those critical thinking muscles that I've hopefully been trying to develop over this semester. Okay, that's it. I also have a recording on lobbying and advocacy that I'm going to post as well. Take your time and go through that as well for lecture. Pay no attention to the travel emergency or the work emergency note at the beginning. That was recorded like 3 semesters ago or something like that. The first time I ever recorded a lecture. So it's an old recording, but nonetheless, the information is still relevant. Okay. So other than that, I will definitely see you in classroom Monday, April 8th. I am so done with this traveling nonsense. It's been a nightmare the last 2 weeks, and I sincerely apologize. Hopefully everybody got my message about extra credit on Skills Labs, because it was my fault completely. But if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to text or email me, and I'm happy to kind of work through all this stuff with you, because I know I've been out of the office, but I'm happy to work with each one of you and help you guys in whatever you need. So other than that, see you on Monday.